Hi everyone, welcome to Hollie Talks. This evening I've got a special guest on, not only my friend, but a fellow Chelsea fan. He'll be on this evening, so enjoy the show.
Can you see it? Are you watching? Which one about? The link. It might echo.
Hi Jamie, how are you, lovely?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show this evening. How are you feeling?
A bit nervous because my story runs quite deep.
Yeah.
I haven't really told it to many people, but I feel like some good can come of it if I get it off my chest. And obviously, because I've come out the back end of it, it might help a few people.
And that's what we hope to achieve by the end of this. That, you know, a lot of people don't speak about men's mental health, and that's why when I spoke to you about it, I realised, you know what, getting Jamie on the show will probably help a lot of people. So if we can do that this evening, then I'll be really happy. Okay, so are you ready to go straight into it, Jay? Are you ready?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay, so my first question to you, Jay, is at what point in your life did you realise, looking back now, that you'd started to suffer with mental health?
It'll be hard to pinpoint whenever. I think I first went to the doctors, if I'm being serious, and was put on antidepressants. I was like 23, I think. 6 milligrams, if I remember right. So that was probably when it's first recorded.
Yeah. So is that because you went to the doctors, Jay? You went to the doctors and said, I just don't feel right, or was there something that happened in your life that you thought, I need to go and?
I think, do you know what? At the time, yeah, I was just I was lacking motivation. I was struggling to get out of bed. I was a young lad, you know what I mean? Young, fit lad. And I knew something wasn't right. If I remember right at the time, it was my mum that pushed me towards it. I think there's a lot of mental health on my mum's side of the family. I think there's about 4 or 5 suicides on my mum's side of the family, if I'm being honest. So I'm not saying anything's hereditary, but I think when you've got other family members that have seen it and been through it, it kind of push you towards it. But going to do you know what, looking back now, it's something I want to share today as well. It's just going to the doctors, getting a pill. I remember there was citalopram, 40 milligrams, which were quite strong for antidepressant. I remember when I started taking them, like it might have cured my depression, but Hollie, I couldn't do nothing. Like, they comatose me. Do you know what I mean? I worked in an office as well at the time.
Yeah.
And this is another thing about citalopram, is after I started taking them, I was like, no, fuck this, I don't want to do this no more. I stopped taking them. You can't, because how they work is they change the signals to your brain.
Right.
So you have to wean yourself off them. You can't just stop taking antidepressants.
Yeah.
And it's something I'll come on to, is because the way I see it now, and obviously my story gets a lot deeper in it, and I got a lot more unwell. I'll tell you my diagnosis now in a bit. They didn't cure depression. They don't cure depression.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to share, is why. Listen, I'm only sharing my story and what works for me now. So I'm not going to tell people not to take medication, not to go and seek help. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So you went to the doctors, Jamie, and you said to the doctor, I don't feel right, and straight away he just went, there's your antidepressants.
Yeah, well, I think they take you through like a questionnaire, if I remember right at the time. They take you through a questionnaire. Obviously, they check if you're suicidal, which is important. But they'll check on your mood and this, and this. And then, so in that process, and obviously at the time, I've taken the tablets, I've taken it from my doctors, and I've gone about my life, if you like.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is the question I want people to think about is, why, if you've gone to the doctors, if you are suffering and you've been given a pill, why are you happy with that? Why is that enough? You're not seeing the bigger picture. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to cure it. You've got to learn about your illness. You've got to learn about the mind. And it was something I'll come on to. I just feel like I've got to a point now and I've been through it all. I'll say now, I've been diagnosed psychosis. I've overdosed. I've been suicidal. I've been to the bottom of the bottom. Now I can say I'm okay.
In your life did you feel suicidal after you first went to the doctors at 23 years old and you got your antidepressants? At what point did you feel suicidal? What was the event that occurred at that time?
Hollie, this is the mad thing about depression, right? Is when I seriously started getting unwell, it was after I bought my first house, 2019. So I'd have been 29. This is the mad thing about depression, and we've got to distinguish depression from sadness, because people think depression is when you're low, when you're down. Have you had a trauma? Have you had a sadness? No, that's not depression. Yeah, I had a beautiful new house, a family, 2 daughters. I've been promoted at work. Do you know what I mean? I have money in the bank. And it was at that point where I weren't happy, Hollie.
Yeah.
And what's the most crazy thing about depression is it's baffling. Because I'm there like, if people looking in will be, how's this guy not happy? You got a house, you got this, and it felt like something was missing. But then what that did was,
a lot of people would think that about you, Jamie. They'll look at you and think, right, he goes to the gym, he's got a nice house, he's got 2 beautiful children, he's got a good job, he earns money, he's got nice friends. Like, at what point, you know, a lot of people wouldn't think that you would have depression. So what do you have to say about that kind of? Say that again, lovely.
That's what I'm saying. This is where people need to kind of understand it a bit better, because this is what I'm saying. So looking outside in, as you know, Jay looks right. His life looks okay, and it's the same for me as well, because I'm feeling like, why am I not feeling good? Why do I not want to go to work? Why do I not want to come home? Like, I was avoiding coming home. And then what that did was it created a knock-on effect. So, and it was very quick, Hollie. It was so quick. So the summer of 2019, that went into me not being able to stop sleeping, which then led to insomnia. And then that insomnia got so bad. Then I started getting really bad effects. I weren't sleeping. I was hallucinating and shit. I saw some mad stuff. Like I thought I was on the demonic attacks. I had weapons in every room. It sounds funny, but I was fucking out of mind, and I was diagnosed with psychosis, and they put me on olanzapine, which is an antipsychotic. And then throughout this period, it's just oh man.
You're okay, Jay. We've got a question in the comments that just says, why does Jamie think it's so hard for men to admit they've got depression? For you, what was difficult?
I think it's to answer that truthfully, it's just like, because we have this stereotype of being men. Do you know what I mean? Like, suck it up. Do you know what I mean? Puff your chest out. You're meant to be a man. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't answer that, because even after me coming out the back end of it, I didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking all day of how can I get out of this? Like,
have you?
It's just to answer. I don't know. Even answering that question now, I'm struggling to talk about it now. I haven't even told anyone really my story.
Yeah. And is it something that you've only just admitted recently to people around you, or have people known for a little while?
This is the thing. This is actually, I'll give you an example of why it's so hard for people to talk about it. It's because with me in that period, all the people closest to me, I was back in touch with my parents. I always had a family. By the Christmas, I had no family. I had my mum and dad and my brothers and sisters cut me off. No.
Yeah. When was this? Christmas when?
This is the one just gone. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, and this is when I was at my lowest because I didn't want to spend Christmas alone. And that's when I was at my, that's when I was at my, sorry, that's when I was at my lowest, you know. Just didn't see a way out. But no one wants to spend Christmas alone, you know. But all the people that were meant to be there to support me. Now, let me pitch it to you this way.
Yeah.
If I would have come home and then said from the hospital, so I've got a disease, a physical disease, a physical illness, I guarantee you that my mum, my dad, my sisters, and that, they'll be at my bedside.
Yeah.
But then I come home and tell them I've got a mental illness and I do some crazy shit. I did do things I regret. Like I do. Like I end up beating my brother up at one point, and I weren't there. But this is where the understanding
it's invisible, isn't it? It's an invisible illness, so a lot of people don't understand it, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's so. If I'd have suppressed my illness, would I still have my dad and my life? Would I still have my mum in my life? Do you know what I mean? Probably. Yeah. But this is another reason why, because other people don't understand.
Yeah.
They cut themselves away from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the space of that,
in all of this, Jamie, have you had like certain people, someone who's been your rock, who's been there for you when you have felt low?
So I'll tell you what catalyzed it for me, which I've been quite about recently, is around Christmas I was so low, like I was suicidal at Christmas, yeah. And then obviously it was my friend Haley who's terminal. When that hit home, it just put things into perspective for me. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking this, but she weren't terminal at the time. She was going in for cancer, and it was around the exact time I had enough. It just made me think, fucking hell, no, like I've got a choice at life.
Yeah.
And this one to say to me,
you've got
a choice. Oh man, it's hard. You've got a choice, and there is a way out. So what I decided to do was think, like, how can I beat this? Do you know what I mean? What have I got to do to put in place? And this is what is very important. Is I learned about the mind, Hollie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It sounds a bit geeky. You learn how the mind works. We have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind. We have a paradigm. We have endorphins. We have dopamine hits. We have chemicals going to our brain. Do you know what I mean? And if you learn about this stuff and you get yourself into a routine, and I can show you the routine I do, you can get well. It takes a bit of time and it takes a bit of effort, and you're going to do some stuff that ain't natural to do.
Yeah.
But I've gone from antipsychotic, psychosis, suicidal to sat here now within 18 months on no medication, no diagnosis.
Wow. Well done. So you feel like you're coping with it better without the medication. You're figuring out ways to help you mentally.
Yeah. And I have to do this every single day. So I have a morning routine. And it's all it is. Now, I'll ask you a question, right? If I asked 1,000 people what's the first thing they do in 10 minutes of waking up in the morning, what do they grab? What's the answer going to be?
Probably their phone.
Pick up their phone, right? Now, our brain absorbs most information when we wake up. So you pick up your Twitter, your news app, you're reading about COVID, you're reading some stupid post about someone slagging off their baby mum or whatever it might be. Do you know what I mean? You're absorbing all that negativity as soon as you wake up. And without even realizing it, you're setting your mood for the day.
Yeah.
So the first thing I changed, it's the first small thing I changed. I don't touch my phone when I wake up. My alarm goes off. Now, first thing I will say is get up. Yeah, as soon as you hit that snooze button, you're going, get up.
Yeah.
And the first thing I do now
is I
meditate.
snooze button every morning, Joe.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's meditation, my first thing, Hollie. Yeah. And if someone told me to meditate 2 years ago, I'd have laughed because I'd have pictured some Buddha sitting there humming or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100.
But I do a 10-minute. I'll go on YouTube. I'll type in 10-minute breathing exercise or something, and all that does, it's been around since the ancient times. It calms the mind. It calms the mind, and then if I'm feeling demotivated or something, I'll just click on something else that will motivate me. Just type in motivational video or something.
Yeah.
And this has been a trial and error for me, by the way. So they're the first two things I do. And then there's the third thing I do, either when I'm in the shower or something like that, is I tell myself things I'm grateful for. It's so important. And this is something they do
with positive things in your life and things that make you happy.
100%. And it's the things that, and it's something they do. I've read into this as well. It's something they do with recovering drug addicts. It's a similar type of routine, because there's no cure for addiction. Do you know what I mean? And it's something they do with recovering drug addicts in the morning. They get them into a morning routine because it's all in the mind. Yeah, you learn about the mind. So I'm in the shower and I'll be thinking, wow, I'm grateful my daughters are healthy. I'm grateful I've got hot water on my back. Do you know what I mean? I'm grateful I've got a roof over my head. I'm grateful I've got a job to go to. It could be so many things. I say them out loud. Tell myself all these things you're grateful for. And it sets my mind for the day. And the most important thing, which is it does help, is just take away anything that makes you selfish. Be kind. And I know it sounds like a quite cliche thing to say.
Yeah.
But you seem to attract kindness and positive stuff.
If you have a negative way of thinking, you seem to attract that negative energy, don't you? So if you're more positive, you kind of attract that kind of, you know. So for you, Jamie, what do you think is a trigger for you? What sets you off and makes you feel, you know, anxious, or is there certain things in life that trigger you?
No, and this is the mad thing about it, Hollie, is I don't feel like I have any triggers. Do you know what I mean? It's like a lot of the time, you're associated with trauma, or you're associated with something must happen to this guy to make him do drugs, or this guy must happen to this guy for him to beat that guy up. Sometimes that is the case, but for me personally, like my upbringing weren't great. Like it weren't the most functional, but I was never under any like abuse. Like, do you know what I mean? I was just like any other kid. Mum and dad weren't together.
I suppose people associate that with mental health, don't they? You've either, you know, you've been through some kind of abuse, or, you know, somebody's passed away in your family and you've not got over it, etc. So you're saying to me there wasn't an actual trigger for you. It just kind of happened over a period of time.
Yeah, I assume so, and I think it's like I've always felt like I was trying to fill some sort of hole. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. And the whole thing about the depression or whatever it is it's so baffling, because there was times I'd get up in the morning, Hollie, and I'd feel so low. And you understand why you feel like it. And there was certain days where I was like, I fucking wish I'd lost a leg, or I wish I was physically ill, because I didn't want it anymore. You know, you shut people away. It got to a point where, I mean, I was lying to people about like, oh, I'm really sick, don't come round, I've got a bug. Do you know what I mean? But all of that, I was just I was isolating myself in my bedroom and shit. Yeah.
We've got a few comments on here, Joe. I'm just going to read some of them out. Just one from Tom Nash here saying, keep strong, Jamie, you're a top bloke. We've got Super G on here, you're a top bloke, Jamie. Thank you for the tips, Jamie. Gary, self-education on your mind is key. Well done, Jamie. Jess Meekin, proud of you, Jay. So there's quite a few people on there saying how proud they are of you and how are you doing so far.
Yeah, it's just saying, spreading some love and kindness is lovely, and it's just the one comment about learning about the mind is, like I say, that routine thing. It sounds so easy. You're thinking, what you get up in the morning and watch a video and that, and it's going to cure psychosis.
Yeah,
it sounds crazy. Like, I know it does. The only thing I take, Hollie, which I do feel that helps, is CBD oil. It's something
I've heard that's quite good. So what kind of benefits has that had for you, Jay?
This is again, you don't feel any effects. It's not like it has a high or it alters your mind. It's just something I've been doing the last sort of 4 months, I'd say, roughly.
Yeah.
And because one thing I was getting, like everybody else, is in the morning was the main time I'd be anxious. It's them sort of things when you're like, oh, I don't want to go.
When you first wake up.
Yeah, and I just feel like I just it's one of them little anchors, if you like. You know, when you have that something that if for some people that anchor might be a glass of wine in the evening or something, but it's a way of you're telling your mind again. If that's your anchor, that glass of wine or lifting weights, but it's just that little drop of CBD in the morning. It's meant to be really good for anxiety and depression.
Have you noticed a big difference in the last 4 months?
Massively. But I don't. It's hard because I don't feel like I don't take it, put drops on my tongue, and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel super happy now. It's not like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it must do
It's not a
something.
miracle.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I would say I take, and nutrition. Do you know what I mean? I'd say another thing that is so important, and this is
The
something that's come
diet.
on to diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Again, I mentioned that word endorphins, and
Yeah.
endorphins is that reward center in your brain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's only a
that's
few things that trigger that. So I would definitely recommend people to exercise. And it's not even in a vain way. Like I used to be mad at the gym. And that. I go like 3 times a week now. And my
Yeah.
diet's not massively clean. Do you know what I mean? I still eat my pizzas and my burgers and stuff. As you can probably tell.
Yeah.
It's
Bless
just,
you. So at what point, Jay, did you go to the doctor and he diagnosed you with psychosis?
so that would have, I can tell you exactly when that was, August 2019.
So you've had that diagnosis for nearly 2 years.
Yeah. So what happened was, I weren't sleeping at all.
Right.
And then it got to a point this is where it's going to sound nuts, and I didn't want to be too open about this because I mean, it's like a lunatic, but I literally thought I weren't sleeping. It's over about 3 or 4 weeks where I never had a sleep. You know what I mean? It was like an hour.
Yeah.
What that does to your mind, it's like a torture. Yeah, it makes you hallucinate. It just fries your brain.
Yeah.
I was under, yeah, man. It's mad, but I thought I was under demonic attacks. Yeah, that I was going to be possessed. I thought some people were going to kidnap my kids, and I was getting mad like that. And
Getting mad paranoia.
yeah, but then that led to me saying I don't want to be in on one. I took like, oh man.
At what point, Jay, did you feel suicidal? Was it after that diagnosis? Was it before? And was there
No,
a
that's
certain
when it
event
was. So what happened was, that's when I did overdose. Yeah. I wish I never done it.
Yeah. It's all right, Jay.
But I knew selfish doing it. Do you know what I mean? I got kids and that. But I was so ill, like.
Yeah.
And obviously that's when they take you in, and that's when I got the diagnosis and stuff.
Okay.
And
So
then it just got worse because like it was just like oh man, it's just no one understands it.
no, I suppose it's
And you
one of
can't
them things unless you've been through it or felt that pain. A lot of people don't understand it. So August 2019. So talk me through that day when you thought, I'm going to do this today.
I tell you what, I don't mean to put. I tell you what really triggered it. And I'm going to be open about it. And I don't want to like
Of course.
bring one else into it. I was that ill. I got so upset on the sofa and that. And I remember
Yeah.
at the time, and she was like, "Why are you crying?" I was just like, I don't know. And it just even she had enough. She went, "I'm going to make dinner." Do you know what I mean? Like, and then it was just, to me, I think that night I started drinking, and then I just fucking, do you know what I mean? I had it was diazepams, and
You
yeah,
just took a load.
yeah, like yeah, no, obviously, and then obviously admitted into hospital, and then I was under like home treatment. So what they do is they come to your house every day or every other day. So you're kind of on a constant observation.
Yeah.
But then obviously I had time off work, and then that's another thing. Like you talking about. Imagine I've got a professional job. Do you know what I mean? I'm a sales manager, and I have to put on my sick slip diagnosis. Do you know what I mean? I didn't put anything in it. Right? And I remember saying, "You're not getting your sick pay, mate. Like you've got to fill in the form." And again, I think even when I went to them, and my work were quite good, to be fair. I'm not gonna, I can't be. And when I did put it, I went up there for a meeting. I said, "I'd rather see you face to face, like a 3-hour drive." And I told him, and he just, when someone was just don't know where to put their face, like it was something that him as an MD or as my manager, even them, they're just like, they must have gone, shit, how do I do with this? This is new. But they were okay, to be fair. But again, it's you look at that word psychosis, yeah. It sounds nuts, doesn't it? It sounds like a proper.
It does sound it, but obviously it's deeper than a lot of people actually think it is.
It's just that, and again, it's one of them ones where even I didn't have too much idea about it. When they said that you got psychosis, I was like, oh, you got OJ's a nutter. But it ain't at
Yeah.
all. Do you know what I mean? Psychosis is, it does
How
normally.
did you feel in that moment, Jay, where they said, okay, we've got a diagnosis for you, you've got psychosis?
It was, I think at that moment I was at the lowest of the low anyway. I can honestly say at the time, I think.
So that was your lowest point, August 2019.
Yeah, that, and then because it got me 2019, and I was, this led all the way up until Christmas last year. So I spent a year and a half with this shit. So I spent the whole of lockdown by myself. I lost my kids at the start of lockdown.
Yeah.
I mean, so I spent from April to Christmas battering myself. Now, you saw me, Hollie. You saw me before Christmas. What was I, 14, 15 stone?
Yeah.
Fucking black-eyed. I was disgusting. Like, do you know what I mean? And it was just, I did lock myself away for months and months and months. It weren't until I spoke to Hey, do you know what I mean? And it was just like, I'm going to choose
Sometimes
life. That's what I remember saying to
myself.
myself.
Event in your life to realize, you know, that you are loved and you are needed, you know, as a dad, as a son, a brother, a cousin, as a friend. I know, as you know, as a friend of yours, Jamie, what a good friend you are, and you're always there if anyone needs someone. A lot of things on the comments are just saying how brave you are, actually, Jamie. What a great story. Thank you for sharing, inspiring. And, you know, as my friend, you are all of that. And I am proud of you for getting to Christmas last year and realizing. So Christmas last year, at what point did you think, that's it, I need to try and sort myself out for myself, for my kids, for the people around me who need me?
It was around that time, like I said, when I saw my friend having cancer, it made me choose life. I keep saying that I chose life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then it was, and this is the point where I want to like stop turning it so morbid and try making it positive now, because it was where I sat there, and I've done this myself, and I can. It's not a vain thing to say. I've done it without family. I've done it without doctors. I've done it. So I sat down and thought, well, how do I beat this? So I'm done with it now.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this anymore. And it took a lot of trial and error, and I repeat myself a little bit. But the first thing I did was thinking, right, what have I got? How does my mind work? And it was just YouTube, and it's just there's things on Netflix. And then I started to embrace a little bit. This doesn't really go too much to the mental health, but it helped me. I started going to a lot of the law of attraction as well. I started to read, and that's another thing.
I've read the book, Joe. Have you read the book?
Secret, yeah. So I've got the book, obviously the documentaries on Netflix.
Yeah. So basically, watching YouTube and listening to motivational stories is one of the things that started to help you on your journey to, you know, not recovering 100%. Completely, but making you feel in a better place.
Yeah, when you start understanding.
Yeah.
For me, I had to understand how the mind works, right? I'm not going to try and give some lecture on here. People can go about it, but it's how, and like I said, you've got a conscious mind where the information goes in. You can choose to either accept or reject that. And it was something, and on that, there's something I said to you earlier when you said you've got Twitter. No, what I did was now is I reject negativity. Everything is negative. I don't entertain it. And that includes the news, that includes most social media. Like, the only thing I've got is Instagram. You don't really get a lot of rubbish on those pictures. So I reject it all, and that's because if you can choose whether to reject or accept any information, and that's why in the morning if you feed your mind with the information that's going to help your mind, help your mood, help the chemicals and signals, and you can research all this, it will put you in a good stead for the day. But you've got to do this shit every single day, and what you've got to do as well, which I found helped, is you've got to set yourself some little tasks, right? They can be so minor, right? I tell you how low I was at one point. One of my tasks when I started doing this was just to eat. Do you know that? One of my tasks was, Jay, you got to fucking eat today. Do you know what I mean? So, and it was, again, one of the motivational videos. It's a famous one which I like. Is if you've seen the Navy Admiral, and he says, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. Yeah. It's quite a famous video. And his point to that is you're completing a task. And if you complete a task, you'll complete another task, and you go on. And there's so much truth to that, because when you get that sense of achievement, it doesn't matter how, this is what I'm saying, it could be something so small, but it's that little reward center in your brain that you're lighting up, you're pleasing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So you set them tasks and you tick them tasks off as you go. It could be some simple stuff. I'm going to clean my car today. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to text 3 friends today and ask if they're okay. And it's not. There's 2 ways of asking someone if they're okay. I think like if I rung you, Hollie, and I said, "Hey, Hollie, you all right?" You're going to say, "Yeah, baby." You. But if I rung you up and say, "You all right, Hollie? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
I will get a different answer just by asking you in that way.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, little tasks, man. And so when you go to bed at night, you're not going to bed and going, "Shit, I didn't post that letter today," or "Shit, I didn't do that report today." Building anxiety in your brain, going to bed on that, and waking up on that.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that you've got to make sure you complete your shit for the day, so you're not sleeping on it, you're not waking up on it. But it's just so many little things. I'm not 100% Hollie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I fuck up, I fall off the rails,
bad
but
days.
I know how to get back on. I know how to. I mean, if I have 2 days low and I feel sorry for myself for doing this,
you kind of almost become your own therapist in a way. Like in your head, you kind of talk to yourself when you're feeling a bit low and just say, "Look, Jamie, I need to get out of this. How do I do that?" Exactly
that, and I just jump straight back on the basics. Just jump up. But meditation ain't got to be in the morning either. Do you know what I mean? I do it. Anything. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's something to calm your mind. And like I say, it's not one of these things where you've got to go and sit on a mountain and with your fingers in a circle. Do you know what I mean? I just on iTunes and everything. It's guided meditation. Listen to what they're saying. Just focus on your breath, calm your mind, come out of it, and you feel like.
Yeah. Gary's made a good one. He said you taught a lot of this stuff yourself. Amazing bloke. So a lot of people are saying how you've kind of, got up and helped yourself. You haven't necessarily had to go and see anybody about it. You've actually kind of done your own techniques, and a lot of people find that inspirational, to be fair. Tom says watching his stories on Instagram, he's one of the most motivational people.
I appreciate it. I've got love for that. I appreciate it so much. It's just but I don't want to get the message twisted. I'm not saying to go and not seek medical help, or I'm not saying, it's just for me personally. I feel like one can go and educate themselves in anything, right? But I believe that maybe if you spoke to someone that's actually been through it, you'll get a different understanding, and you'll get a different outcome. I feel like I just want to say to people, if you're gonna go and get medication and you feel it's gonna help, cool. But why settle for that? Because it ain't gonna cure you. And I don't know if there is any like a full-on cure. But I'm saying if you just to get up and take a tablet for the rest of your life, change the natural signals to your brain, change the natural chemicals in your brain.
Yeah.
To me, that ain't the answer, mate. Like, and it weren't the answer. It was.
Well, you proved that, didn't you, Jamie? From December onwards, you wasn't taking any tablets. You've done your own kind of techniques. Somebody asked, how does a breakup, do you think, affects a man's mental health?
I think for me, it worked for me personally, and it obviously was more my kids, because I mean, people that know me know like my kids are my world, and that's why I got a bit upset earlier, because I felt that's the one time in life where I felt I let them down. It's where I felt like I gave up, and I don't ever want to think I'm a quitter. But listen, you don't call someone that's suicidal. A lot of people call people that's suicidal selfish. And what I would say to them people, it's don't fucking judge, because you don't know how much they're hurting. You try sit up for 3 weeks, not sleeping, not knowing what's going on. A lot of people
also, Jamie, is it true to say, think that, they look at the other people in their life and think maybe they'd be better off without me? A lot of people think that, and as much as it's not true, when you have them thoughts in your head, when you, in 2019, did you have them thoughts in your head on that day? Am I better
I
here?
say to you, all the people that I loved, the people that are closest to me, do you know what I mean? My fiance, my mum, my dad, my brother, my sister. These are people that were in my life 2 years ago and ain't now. Do you know what I mean? They're not now. And when they start just cutting, and I kind of get it. I weren't the guy that they knew. I did some mad things. Do you know what I mean? Like I said to you, well, it's a bit of a story, but I mean, my brother put it on me one day. Do you know what I mean? Put it on me.
Was this before or after August 2019?
This was September 2019. Or was it September?
So after you'd been in hospital, you'd been diagnosed.
Yeah, and they knew. And me and my state of mind, I went round to my mum's house and punched him up in her front room. And you know me, I'm not a violent guy. Do you know what I mean?
I remember when this happened. I do remember when this happened.
And it's like, all right, listen, there's no excuse for that. But Hollie, I weren't me. And I wish they understood, but I wish they could see what state of mind I was in at that time. And just understand. Don't give up on me, mate. Like it's already done now. To me, I wouldn't. That's done. That ship sailed. It's like, but now I know through a life experience, if my kids come to me about anything, no matter how much it would break my heart, I ain't cutting them off. Don't cut off people just because you don't understand what they're going through. Because if someone's got a mental illness, expect them they're going to do some fucked up stuff because they're not well. Like, I'll give you an example, and this happened recently. I'm not going to say names, but I had a message today off someone.
Yeah.
And he had pulled a weapon on me on the door, or not on me, but I was doing a door on Friday. He pulled a weapon. Yeah. Fucking mental, armed police, everything, yeah? So this guy's messaged me today and said sorry. And my reply was, are you all right? Do you know what I mean? Are you all right? And it turns out he'd been up for 3 days. His nan's terminally ill. So instead of me telling him to go fuck himself and I'm going to kick his face in because he pulled a gun or whatever, I still think, well, what? And this is what I'm saying. You don't, if someone does something mad, maybe take the time out to ask if they're okay. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and not a lot of people would have done that today, Jamie, after having a weapon pulled on them on Friday night at the door where they work, where you're meant to be safe and you're just earning a living. For you to then this morning receive a message from him and ask if he's okay, it just goes to show, you know, how inspirational you are, Jay, and how, you know, kind and caring you are, and how you know the effects of mental health and what can happen when you're in a bad place. And he clearly was in a bad place, hence the reason he's, you know, he's messaged you today.
And it's just the thing, just take, like I said, it's hard for people to naturally, and I wouldn't have reacted like that 3 years ago. I wouldn't have. It's only because of what I've been through. I just see life in a different way now. Like people, you ask people that knew me 10 years ago, like I was a nightmare. You know what I mean? I was a nightmare. And I've had to change a lot. I've had to. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a dad now. I work now. I've got a mortgage now. I can't. But what the most important thing is for people to understand is your life could be going the best it's ever been, like mine was.
Yeah.
And that illness can hit you out of nowhere for no fucking reason. Like, I still to this day cannot tell you why I got depressed. That's why I got so ill, because I'm there, I'm thinking, I pull up to my brand new house thinking, I don't even want to go in there. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, why? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I just didn't want to be with my missus anymore. Like, we weren't like fighting and that all the time or anything. I just didn't like her anymore. Like, but I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? I started to isolate. I started to push people away. Yeah. And then that built anxiety, and it built insomnia. And then, do you know what I mean? And within 6 weeks, I'm seeing things, and literally, that's how crazy it was. It was. I would say it was. I've always been a bit thingy, like I said, from when I was like 23. But that period of time, it took 6 weeks to go from feeling a bit baffled, to being in hospital.
That's crazy.
That's
so it was over that 6 weeks was the worst period then.
It was, that time was like, it was just even when I think about it now, I can't remember it, Hollie. Like, I was so exhausted. Mad, like I was so exhausted. That's why I'm lost for words. I can't remember the period properly.
Cole's saying on here, hi Cole, So many crimes are committed on the basis of the issue spoken about tonight. There needs to be more light and aid for the issue. And if it does, the world could change massive, which I agree with. You know, a lot of crimes are committed because people are in a bad place. How much do you agree with that, Jay?
I do. I do. I feel that, do you know what I think is also where a lot of people go wrong, and I myself have done the same thing, is that when we're in a bad place, we turn to getting messy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The amount of times
a lot of people turn to drink,
drugs, whatever it might be their go-to, and we can't shy away from that. Do you know what I mean? We can't shy away from how much that makes it worse. Do you know what I mean? You can't the first time I got, actually it wasn't the first time I got arrested, but the first time I went in serious trouble was when I first was on citalopram and I was out drinking. 22, 23, and that's when I got my serious charge. I won't go into too much of that, obviously, but that was on the back of that. Now, would I have even done what I'd done if I weren't on them tablets drinking alcohol? Probably not. I don't know.
Is there a lot of side effects then, Jamie, if you're taking mental health drugs? If you then obviously either drink or other kind of drugs with it, is there a lot of side effects?
100%, because you've got to think about it, right? If you're taking an antidepressant or an antipsychotic, it's changing the chemicals in your brain. If you go then take cocaine or smoke weed or alcohol, that's also mind-altering substances.
Which I suppose a lot of people do that when they're going through mental health, Jay. They do turn to alcohol or drugs, thinking 100%. That, you know, it'll block out the pain, it'll block out the thoughts.
100%, because it changes the way you feel.
Got on here, Gary said, did you go into autopilot during that 6-week period leading up to the day that you thought you were going to end everything?
No, I didn't, you know, and this is what I'm saying. Although I was so exhausted, I was more like, and this is what made me more exhausted. I was trying to function still. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to work. I was still trying to go about my day. Do you know what I mean? And this is something that us as human beings are so good at. And we people can know you can be a little bit unwell, but I myself can be. I could come across and be like, yeah, sweet mate, how are you doing? Smiley, happy. Do you know what I mean? And I've done it for 18 months. Like,
so it's quite true what they say. People can come across like they're feeling okay. You know, what were the signs? What signs did you have that you had a mental health problem?
I'll tell you how I would probably say signs as well. Signs you can maybe see in other people. I think the main one is isolation. I think people that are suffering tend to isolate. I'm not saying you won't see them for 6 months, but you get them that people will be like, do you know what I mean? You won't really hear from them for a few weeks. If that's a bit strange, or they're not coming out if you're doing a few things. Or like, I ain't seen Jay for a while, or you heard from Jay. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the first one. I'd also say weight loss as well. Like, it's the one. I know I'm quite a big guy, but when I was really depressed, I had no appetite. Like, no appetite. It wasn't until I took them antipsychotics, I got fat. And them olanzapines, they got me fat, and I think that's what people thought I was getting well because I'm putting on weight. But it's actually a side effect of the drug. It's like water retention and fatness. Like, when I first said, you're going to get fat on these. But yeah, weight loss was one of them. It's hard because this is why we're doing this now, because ultimately people need to talk. You need to tell someone, and you need to tell them quickly. But my biggest point, I'll repeat it. It doesn't mean you've got to go to a doctor and get a tablet. That it ain't always the way. Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes
Speak to
probably
people.
Just like talking to someone, Joe.
100%. Like, and like I say, I'm not no mean, but I feel like I'm in a place now, where I can tell people what I do, and I would just tell them. If someone come to me today and said, you know, I'm depressed on this, on that, I would just say to them, listen, if you want to go to doctors, go to doctors, man. I can't give you the medical advice, but I would say, try what I do for 3 weeks. I would love people just as long as they weren't suicidal, obviously. I would say go and fucking get help. But if it's just like your anxiety or you're depressed or you just don't know what's wrong, that's the thing.
What would your top 5 things be to help suppress the bad times, if someone came to you today and said, look, Jamie, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling low, what advice, what would be your top 5 to give somebody?
My first one would be to not turn to anything mind altering. Yeah. So my first bit of advice is don't leave the drinking that long. Would be my first thing. My second thing would be to do the morning stuff, the meditation and the gratitude.
Yeah.
The third thing would be to sleep. I know that's hard, but sleep is so important.
Yeah.
And exercise, definitely exercise, and nutrition. I would say if you've got them 5 things in your life regularly, and I'm not talking about you've got to do it like you don't eat a chocolate bar and you've got to train every day.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, if you've got that in your life, a positive mindset, some endorphins from the exercise, some vitamins and some nutrition, and sleeping, the mind will be all right. It will be all right. It's never going to be 100%. That's why you got to do this shit every day. And it is like, I noticed it recently. Obviously, I didn't get a lot of sleep this weekend. Obviously Friday I didn't get into like 4 or 5, and then whatever. And then, do you know what I mean? Today I'm being sick. I didn't feel well today. It has a knock-on effect as well. Do you know what I mean? And it'll lower your mood. You start to see it. Like if you fall off, it's not always out of choice.
Do you find that sometimes, Jamie, if you're out of your routine, you feel a bit low? It sounds like sometimes if you don't have a certain amount of sleep and things differ from day to day, it seems like it sometimes affects you.
100%. And I think sleep's the one. I think when I'm tired, it's like everyone. What do we link with being tired? With being moody. Do you know what I mean? That's the same for everybody. So
that's definitely me. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the comments. Hollie, you look like Casper. Yes, I know I do. In this light, I actually look tanned, but my ring light makes me look pale. That's my brother being mean. Another one said, I feel sad for you, Jamie. I wish that your family could watch this or are watching this.
You know what I do? It's going to sound mad, and people are going to think I'm so cold-hearted in saying this, but I think with my mum and dad as well, it's not like I had my mum and dad my whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to go into my personal family stuff, but I just feel like with my mum and that, like what I did with my brother, it's inexcusable. Do that. They knew. It's not an excuse, but they knew what I was diagnosed with. They knew what I was unwell.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give me an excuse to have a fight with my brother. No, of course it doesn't. But it would probably be a little bit more of a reason to be a bit more understanding and not cut me out of your life.
Yeah. Oh, bless you.
Do you know what I mean? But that's if they are watching, which is what I mean. Like they still see my daughters. I'd never stop them seeing my daughters. I'm not going to be that guy.
That's good. Yeah.
But it's just if they're watching, you know what I mean. They're always going to be my mum and dad. But and if they was ever in trouble, I'll be there. But as far as them being in my life, I don't need them.
Yeah. So if there was anybody watching Jamie or watches this at a later date, and they're worried to talk about anyone because they are male, and they don't know if people would understand, what would you say to them people?
If you don't, you're not going to get well. You're not going to be. And I understand. Listen, even coming on here today, and this is me saying I'm well now, I'm okay. I've been back and forth all day. Do you know what I mean? I've just been like, no, I'm sick. I definitely can't do it. It's just like, no, I'm going to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have to. If you don't make any effort to change, it's that word. We link it with motivation. Yeah, depression it kills motivation. People that have been depressed can't get out of bed. Yeah, and the word motivation comes from motive, which means to move. So if you don't move, your motivation ain't going to change. Your mind ain't going to change. So you've got to. It's the way you're going to go about help. Now, I think one of the questions you asked me earlier was, do you think there's enough help out there? I'll give you an example. I phoned the doctors in about week 2 or 3 in them 6-week period, and they didn't get back to me until I was admitted into hospital. So I think within the medical industry and stuff, I've got to be honest with you, I don't think the help is there yet. I feel actually from my experience, do you know what I mean? Imagine if I did die that night and I'd phoned them 3 weeks before, waiting for a call back. You know, when you phone these GPs now and they call you back in 2 weeks time. And I'm like on the phone, I'm like, I haven't slept for 3 weeks, mate. Like, you're gonna yeah, you're gonna have to get a call back, I'm afraid. So
Yeah.
what I would say is maybe, I don't even know if there's stuff like this even like my inbox is open. I'm gonna say that openly. Maybe there needs to be more things on the side where you can just contact like-minded people,
Yeah.
rather than medical. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
if there could be a community or a society or a group, I don't know what it might be. It might be something we can look into off the back of this.
Well, I've put on there actually, Jay, today. I obviously had a little look around about men's mental health today, and there is a helpline called Calm. So I've left the number actually on there today. So if anybody does need to call that number, if they are struggling, then obviously I've left it on there.
Yeah, I can't fault the help I got once I was admitted and stuff, like, because obviously they're coming to my house every day. So I mean, I didn't have to go to them, like they come to my house.
Really? How long did that last for, Jay?
It lasted quite a while, and then it went to a phase where I was going to them. So I think it's the home treatment. I think that's what they were called. I can't remember. It was like home treatment, basically. The only thing that was a bit frustrating for me at the time, if I'm going to talk about the medical side, was quite a lot of the time I saw two different people. They always come in twos. They don't come on their own, obviously, because you're but but telling your story to the next person and the next person, but that started to piss me off. That was just, and that's just, but it's stuff like that. That, to be fair, I did a couple of surveys since I've stopped my medication, since I've been like released. They actually follow up and ask you what we could do better, what we can do, and that I liked. But whether they've taken it on board, I wouldn't know.
I feel like it was just like protocol, like they were just saying it because it's part of their job.
I don't know.
Like there was actually help?
Changes. I just feel like if someone's calling with like mental health or sleep deprivation or something, I just think like they need to deal with that quicker, because the deterioration I had within 3 weeks nearly cost me my life.
Yeah. And going back to August 2019, I know we keep touching back on this, but the night you took all them diazepams and went to bed, who found you? Who looked after you? Who helped you? Or did you think, I've taken too many, I need to call?
Yeah, so that's what happened. So no, it was the next morning with my ex. So and then I got taken into hospital. So, but even with that, it was mad, because even the guy in the hospital said it. He said, you've taken enough to kill an elephant. Like, you've gone through it. Like, I don't know how you're awake. I don't know. Maybe they weren't real. But,
bless their well. I'm glad they wasn't real if they wasn't, Joe. Put it that way. And a lot of people are glad that didn't, happen that night.
Yeah, this is where I felt like I let it down. This is what upsets me, because then it got stuff, and then it got like, asking questions about my kids and are my kids safe and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And I think
that's the problem.
Yeah, that's
a lot of people don't talk about it because they're worried about their children. A lot of people see, horror stories. If I go and speak to someone, they're going to take my children away because I need help.
Yeah, and that's what scared me the most in the aftermath of it all. And I get they're trying to do their job, but like I say, even when I was unwell, I weren't violent or psychotic in regards to. I wasn't violently psychotic. I was suffering with something more depressive than psychotic. Do you know what I mean? I think about my kids around me. I maybe that's when I deteriorated. Obviously, when my kids moved out and stuff. Being in lockdown didn't help either. So that was it. And that's when I started drinking and stuff, like, a lot. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? It was just, and I think that's what most of us do nowadays. As soon as we get sad, like, you've got to think of a funeral. What does everyone do after a funeral? They go to a wake. Do you know what I mean?
It's crazy, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah, this is
Gary's just saying they've got a Facebook group called Man to Man MK, which is full of men talking about this stuff. If you get time to pop in, so whether it be you, Jamie, or anybody watching, there is a group on Facebook called Man to Man MK.
Yeah, I could say anything like that, and obviously I think it's like because at the time, even now, I don't know about this stuff. I'm being honest. I know, and I think it's just trying to. The more we talk about this, the more we do this, the more we can spread these groups and spread these support groups, and it's just it's what needs to be. I think what the thing is, it might not be the fact that the groups and that are not out there. I think it's more of a fact that we don't know about them.
Yeah.
So I certainly didn't. My first point of call was a doctor, and I keep saying it now. It's not always the best one.
If you're feeling unwell or not feeling mentally right, the first thing people do is call a doctor, isn't it? I think that's your first point of call.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and say, don't do that. I can't. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying don't do that. Just saying.
Nightcrawler, thank you for the comments on there tonight. Yeah, go on, Jamie. Sorry, would you say, lovely?
I'm just saying, like, you don't have to take a mind altering tablet to alter your mind. You can naturally beat this. You can. But what I want to make it clear is you've got to change. Again, I don't want to go too much stuff I've learned. You've got to change your paradigm. Yeah, and your paradigm basically is it's what you know as being normal. It's the stuff. It's why you like the music you like. It's why you talk a certain way. It's why you like the clothes you like. Because when you're at an age, it's what you naturally see to be. That's what I like. Do you know what I mean? Or that's what I'm going to do. So to change your paradigm, your natural subconscious, is fucking hard. Yeah, it's so hard. But you could do it. And you've only got to YouTube this stuff. YouTube the paradigm, the mind. You've got to learn about your mind if you want to change it.
Yeah, 100%. It's right what Dave said. A good doctor should suggest taking therapies before tablets. How much do you agree with that, Jay?
100%. I feel like this is the problem, and it happened with a friend of mine recently. Yeah, she was having anxiety, not wanting to go to work, sweating and being sick in the mornings. This was recently, and she come home with some coconut or something like that. And I said to her, listen, if you want to take that shit, take it. I'm not going to stop it. I said it to her, this was about 3-4 weeks ago. I said, I gave her my CBD. I said, take this. I said, do them little things in the mornings. You want to see this girl within 3 weeks. Not taking one tablet.
Really?
Out in the sun, confident. 3 weeks, Hollie. Seriously, 3 weeks. Do you know what? Even if in a follow-up, we could do a follow-up show in 6 weeks' time, and we can talk to her and see how she's getting on. Because it's another thing I want to say. I know we're talking men's mental health, Hollie,
yeah?
I'm seeing it just as much with girls.
100%. I mean, we're talking men's mental health, obviously, tonight, but, as the weeks go on, I'm booked now for the next 14 weeks, which is really, really good. But in them 14 weeks, I have got women that are coming on about mental health, childhood abuse. There's so many subjects and touchy subjects, taboo subjects that people don't want to talk about or are too scared to talk about. So we've got a lot of that coming up. What else have we got on here? Claire, bless her, amazing. Both of you both smashed it. Thank you very much, lovely. CBD is great. A lot of people on here actually have said about CBD oil being really good.
Like I say, you won't feel anything. You're not going to take it and go, whoa, like I can't explain it, but it must. I don't even want to question it. I'm taking it. It seems to be all right. It cost me 25 quid a month. Do you know what I mean? What do you spend 25 quid on? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, trust me. I walk out my house and it's 50 quid every time.
You spend 25 quid on that light bulb, you know?
Say that again.
Is how much you got paid for that light bulb?
Oh, I need to spend a bit more, I think. Right, what else have we got in here? Gary said, men, let's talk. Great show. So what's next for Jamie? How can we find you, Jamie? You've just got Insta. You don't have anything else, do you?
You know what? If it's gonna help people, I don't care what it takes. I mean, yes, but my Instagram is personal. It's not private. It's just I think it's something else. It's just at Jamie_XXVI. They can find me on your page anyway. But if anyone messages me, I will honestly, I promise you, I will call you. I will message. I don't care what it's. I'll come see you. I don't care. Like if
I mean, my
can
Instagram's
help
on there as well. My inbox is always open, like yours, Jamie. So if anybody does want to talk, I mean, I don't claim to be a a specialist at it, but I'm here and the door's open.
That's it. Like I say to people, like I say, I can't advocate any medical, but I'm just a guy that's had all these different illnesses, has been suicidal, and I feel like I now have a way that I can only tell people what I do myself.
Yeah, cool.
There's not going to be a lot of people that's been worse off than I have.
Yeah.
Like, and it could be anything. Like I said, I lost everything through mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I kept hold of my fucking job, if I'm being honest. Both my
You did well.
Yeah, because I think I'm so good at hiding it.
You was good at hiding it, Jamie. I've been to yours loads and loads of times in the last couple of years, and I think the only time I really noticed it was Christmas last year.
Yeah, I think that's when it was hitting me. I think that was obviously after a prolonged amount of like drinking. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't hide it then. Do you know what I mean? Once you start losing your muscle mass and your eyes are going black, and
you lost a lot of confidence as well, Jay. I do remember you like, oh, I look tiny now. You know, I've not been able to train and stuff. I know that you lost a lot of confidence around that time.
Massive. I remember I was going on the door wearing like 3 hoodies. Like,
bigger.
Yeah, because I just felt so insecure. Like, it's a vicious cycle, because it was like I'm feeling insecure, but then instead of dealing with it, I was isolating and drinking, and then I was only going out if I had to go out. Do you know what I mean? Like, I weren't making any effort, and it's just and it's not a vain thing to say. I think as human beings, we should feel good on the outside, because if you feel good on the outside, you'll feel good on the inside. I think that's quite important. It doesn't mean you've got to be vain about it, or be the best looking geezer or the best looking girl, or be the muscles. It is just once you show a little bit of confidence in yourself, you'll feel better. Like, it's just, again, it's that energy. Like, we all do give off a signal, and it's a fact. We do. If you sit next to someone on the train, and he's anxious, you're going to be able to tell he's anxious. He'll be doing things to make, like, so he's anxious. If that makes sense. Cool. You can see that they're happy and they're confident. You show it.
Yeah, 100%. Well, listen, Jamie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's
really appreciate it.
I'm glad I spoke about it. Like,
do you feel better now you've spoken about it?
Yeah, I feel like like I said, I still go from massive depth, but I didn't think it upset me. I didn't think I've
never seen you like that. The only time I've ever seen you like that.
No, I'm not ashamed.
I've ever seen like that is when you've been to see Haley, and that's it.
Yeah, like I said, I think she's watching as well, so I want to send us loads of love, because it took something like that to make me choose life. You know, and it's a shame, because it shouldn't take something like that. But this is another thing, and it's life can be so cruel, man.
So cruel. And we are sending Haley lots of love. I know she's watching tonight and supporting Jamie. So just so you know, Haley, we're all here thinking about you and loving you. I know Jamie is. I know he's very proud of you, and he talks about you all the time. So sending love to Haley. And I will see everybody next week, where we've got a new guest. I'm not going to reveal that yet, but we've got a new guest. So if you keep an eye on the Instagram and the Twitter. But I will see you Tuesday next week. Jamie, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so proud of you. One of my best friends in the world. That made me a little bit emotional. It took every little bit of me not to cry, because, you know, I'm a bit emotional. Everyone thinks I'm a nice queen, but not always. So thank you so much for coming on. If everyone can hit the likes and subscribe buttons, that'd be fab. And I'll see everyone next week. Thank you, Jamie.
Bye.